Thank you. Thank you for that welcome, and welcome to the Ministry of Education. We're delighted that you have joined us. And I'm especially delighted because you are now responsible for the TLLP, as well as many other things in partnership with the Ontario Teachers Federation. And it's my pleasure to share some of the evidence and some of the experiences from Ontario's Teacher Learning and Leadership Programme over 10 years now. So one thing that's interesting about it is it's an innovation that has sustained for 10 years. And thinking around those pieces, I should apologise, I'm recovering from a cold, so you're going to have to deal with a Scottish accent and a cold together combined. So I will try to be as clear as possible. I'm going to start by asking, if you are or you have been involved in the TLLP. Now, I know we have lots of technology. Chris, I actually support technology, but I'm going old school here. Can you put your hand up if you've been involved with the TLLP? If it was a good experience, can you wave your hand? So one word that comes to mind for the TLLP, shout them out. One word. Great, leadership, fantastic. Other words, come on. Collaboration, other words? Learning, I love it. So, part of the TLLP is about sharing your knowledge and our knowledge, and it connects to some of what Chris was talking about in the keynote this morning. I've put the hashtag for TLLP onto this slide. I know that there's lots of people in this room tweeting. I know that there's lots of people outside of this room following along to OERS 16. So I'm going to ask you if you have comments about the TLLP or you have your great learning that you want to share, please tweet it to OERS 16 combined with the TLLP, and we'll actually bring together these two communities. Because one of the things I'm going to talk about is how does knowledge share and develop? And what we're learning from the TLLP, and I think this connects with what Chris was talking about this morning, is it was about us as individuals taking our tacit knowledge, making it explicit, turning it into action, communicating to other people. So I asked you to wave and to shout out. So your individual knowledge became group knowledge. And for those of you that are tweeting, you're now part of a wider network. And that's what we're seeing with TLLP. Individual teachers sharing in groups, and then in personal and professional networks, in person and online. So, TLLP, what is it? And why a vignette about it at a symposium focused on networking and partnership? TLLP embodies networking and partnership. And Lindy Amato from OTF is here, who is the mother of TLLP and has been involved from the very start working with the Ministry of Education. It's a policy and practice partnership, a genuine partnership. It came out of the working table on teacher education. Back in 2004, that table was formed, and the table said, if we're going to work together, government, teachers' unions, other professional associations, around teacher policy, what does that look like? And starting with a new teacher induction program and work around performance appraisal and learning. But then, of course, the vast majority of our teachers are experienced teachers. So what about those teachers who are in the job 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And that's where the TLLP emerged. And what's interesting from my perspective is it's not just a new policy, it was a new way of doing policy. Government and teacher unions federation together, working together. And they turned to research. So we have a policy and a practice, the profession, but then research was brought in, and they commissioned work with Kathy Broads and Mark Evans and other people to say, what does the literature say about teachers' professional learning? And these 5 principles informed the Teacher Learning and Leadership Programme. Coherent. Teachers' learning needs in the context of schools, school boards, and the province, and of course, students' learning at the heart. Attentive to adult learning. There's no one-size-fits-all professional development. Thinking around personalised approaches for teachers' learning linked to your needs, your students' needs, your contexts. Goal-orientated. Clear goals around what you want to focus on, learn about, improve your practices. Sustainable over time. The TLLP project is funded for 18 months, but the interest is how do we scale and sustain that, the challenge that the deputy threw out to us this morning. Evidence-informed, there is research throughout the TLLP. And in fact, although this review was done in 2007, we re-reviewed the literature on professional learning last year, and it's still very consistent with this and of the work of the TLLP. So, there are 3 goals in the TLLP: to enable teachers to undertake self-directed professional development. Teachers identify an area of practice that they're passionate about, linked to their students and their schools. To develop teachers' leadership skills, not a formal leadership role, but ways of leading, Chrissy's leadership by influence, leading through a network of practice and knowledge. And knowledge exchange, which makes it different from some other types of action research projects. You're expected to share your knowledge. So this is a process. This is my best attempt at a graphic. I think I need some better pictures. So a teacher, individually or in a group, increasingly more common in a group, put forward a proposal about an area of practice that they want to focus on for a school year. The school board then reviews these proposals and puts forward 2, and now in some cases 3 proposals to the provincial committee, which is government and teacher unions side by side, and they evaluate the proposals for what the teachers are going to learn and how they're going to share that knowledge. So successful applicants receive training around project management, developing baseline measures, reporting out over time, conduct their work over a school year, produce a report. Next week, we're actually coming together for the next summit where there'll be hundreds of teachers sharing what they've learned in a marketplace, a bit like this, and continuing their knowledge exchange online and in person. So, I've had the great privilege of being a researcher alongside this project with Anne Lieberman and Anna Yashkina. And we started off with quite a small project, an 8-month project, to ask questions about the TLLP. But another piece of this partnership and networks has been that the research network has grown. And you can see now we're actually, we have a 6-year project. For those of you that are researchers, you know what a blessing it is to have a 6-year project, because you can actually ask some big questions about impact and sustainability. And you'll see there many names: Nat Carrier, Sophia Malik, Jackie Son, Cameron Hossman and Joelle Rodway, who have become part of our team as research assistants as we move through this work. So we started off with our short project. What's the value of TLLP? To what extent have the goals been realized? And what lessons can be learned? We started mainly reviewing the existing evidence, analysis of documents, evaluation of so for all of the training, there's evaluation forms and feedback, those pieces, analysis of final reports, but also some interviews. This then grew into a bigger project, which we're now in the middle of. And because it's a larger project, we can ask some of those questions that George Zagaric was pressing us on this morning about impact. What's the impact for teachers? What's the impact for other adults? Could be parents, school principals, school boards, superintendents, directors, students. How is that learning being shared? And what longer-term impacts are there? So what are we finding? Well, we're now moving into a much more multidimensional mixed methods project for those of you that are interested in the methods. But we're bringing in social networking analysis and looking at online activity as well as in-person collaboration. So what did we find? Professional learning and collaboration. When teachers are asked to lead their own professional learning, they collaborate. Self-directed collaboration. They choose projects that they're interested in and they form teams around themselves. So you see the top activity, collaborative learning, professional dialogue, but also self-reflection, the individual to the collective, analysis of student work, literature, engaging in and with research. What are these benefits? New knowledge, improved understanding, improved practice, increased communication and collaboration, and then those ones that are still the majority, but I didn't highlight, energy and self-efficacy. So often we don't measure that in terms of educational change, and yet it's crucial for change to sustain. So teachers become leaders of educational improvement. And we ask teachers to write about their experience. Another way of sharing your knowledge, writing, whether it's blogging, in this case it was short vignettes. Learning leadership by doing leadership, being thrown into a project and having to find your way through, organizing a project, building a vision, sharing your leadership, collaborating, peer-to-peer influence rather than formal leadership, producing knowledge, going public and deprivatizing your practice, creating resources, learning new technology, sharing with others, overcoming personal and professional challenges, and ultimately the power of this experience. So, networks. What will I add about networks? These teachers are sharing. They're asked to share online, and they're also asked to share in person. They're sharing within their schools, opening up their classroom doors, sharing across their school board, sharing with other school boards. A quarter have been picked up across the province, and 10% have become international. How are they sharing? In-person professional collaboration and online professional collaboration. The majority of these teachers are on Twitter, as well as engaging in other types of activity. Using, this is the Mentoring Moments, which is the site for the TLLP. You can see the activity as people post artifacts and resources. And the bump around November is when we have a summit and bring people together, sharing resources. More recently, Teach Ontario and TLLP teachers were actually the beta developers of Teach Ontario, taking forward ideas about how can teachers share in an online environment in an inclusive way. And what are they sharing? Some similarities to what Chris was discussing. Very tangible resources and products that can be used in other classrooms and other schools. Lesson plans, lists and advice on resources, communication tools, assessment tools, instructional tools, taking their knowledge and turning it into products and resources that other schools can use. So, knowledge development. As an individual, making your tacit knowledge explicit. Talking about your work, sharing your work, writing about your work, blogging, whatever you're comfortable with, even what you're not uncomfortable with. Some of these teachers said, I could never have stood in front of a room, and now they're keynote speakers. So thinking about putting that out there. Working in groups. Who is the group of people around you that you're going to connect with? Who are they, and how do you know what their knowledge is? We often make assumptions about what other people do or don't know. But the key thing is, although there's many, many, many professional learning communities and other types of groups here in Ontario and in England and elsewhere, new knowledge actually develops between groups. So moving outside your school or outside your regular group of professionals or personal contacts and thinking about that bigger network, which is why I'm encouraging you to expand your professional network online as well as in person, or at events like this. Ways of growing and developing. Because what we see is learning and knowledge happens through collaboration and communication, in person, online, and in print. And importantly, it's about sharing practices in tangible ways, whether it's a lesson plan or an assessment tool, or here's a resource, something that can be used. So that deprivatization of practice in terms of actionable resources and products. So, what about students? We asked about the benefits for students. Well, no surprise, as teachers get motivated and excited about their work, there are benefits for students learning too. Improved engagement, improved learning experience, improved achievement, motivation, thinking about how you bring innovation into classrooms in ways that's actually exciting and engaging. Challenges. Yes, there are challenges. Time. Time's the biggest challenge. These are regular teachers doing this on top of their full-time job. So thinking about, through these projects, there are some dollars, using that creatively around release time, or thinking about team membership and how you engage and support other people, thinking about how you manage a project. Gaining commitment. How do you gain commitment of people in formal leadership positions to get on board with your work as a teacher leader? And interestingly, this has actually decreased over the years as the TLLP becomes better known. And then a whole host of practical, technological, financial, and logistical challenges. But ultimately, they find a way And that's part of leadership, is finding a way. So, sustainability, the worry was always that these would be projects and then nothing would happen afterwards. But they sustain. 98% have sustained. That's a huge percentage. Continued implementation of the learning strategy or the tool. A continued appetite to learn more, whether it's about the same subject or topic in greater depth, or to pick up another topic or area. The collaboration sustains. People get in the habit of collaborating and sharing, and also sharing the resources that have been developed. So as we in the research team have looked across this, and we've been pulling out some ideas and some lessons around networking and knowledge networking in particular, it might sound obvious, but sometimes in some parts of this world, policymakers don't believe teachers can be the leaders and mobilizers of the sharing of knowledge and practices. We can show that. We've got really strong evidence when we think about teacher leadership contributing to school and system improvement. At the same time, system supports are important. There's a budget here, there's training, there's resources, there's their online website, there's people that you can speak to. So you need both. You need a system that enables this, but also teachers to have the autonomy to move forward. Sharing knowledge requires thinking about how you develop individually, as a group, and as a network, and how you're going to collaborate and communicate. And the substance counts. It's not just about sharing anything. It's about how you turn your knowledge and your evidence into resources that can be used in any classroom. So that's what we're learning. I look forward to sharing further from this journey as we move forward, and I look forward to hearing. And I know there are many TLL people in the room, and I want to thank you all. I spoke to Julia Graydon earlier, who's one of our case studies and is doing amazing work. So thank you. I appreciate that you answer our surveys and interviews and all of these pieces. Thank you.